So now we talk about technology and how important it is in a technology company to have a deep understanding of the technology. I think that's extremely important. I have seen examples where, especially when leaders are coming in from other industries in a completely new industry, with very good leadership credentials, with very, very good financial credentials, but without really understanding the reality of the business, they are asked to lead. That might result in decisions which are not positive for the company. And the worst thing which can happen is when you acquire a little bit of knowledge, because, being a CEO, you're extremely exposed. So everything is explaining to you, everything is showing to you the things. So very fast you get an idea about what's going on. I think it's not sufficient to have an idea. I think it's important for the decisions, especially when it comes to strategic decisions of the company, if it comes to a new direction of the company, if it comes to a new portfolio of the company, that you really understand the technology, which is, the base of your business. In other businesses which are more global, less technological driven, that might be different. But in manufacturing companies, technology-driven companies, I think that very, very deep understanding is very important. I just mentioned, for instance, portfolio, and I have seen that during my work with different companies, that portfolio can also be something, which is increasing over the years through history. And you come to a moment in the life of the company where you have to decide if you need to divest or you need to expand. And if you need to expand, in what direction to expand, and in what part of the business to expand, because normally you don't do it in all at the same time. So again, I think portfolio management is extremely important also to keep a high profitability of the business. So not only for the competitiveness, but also from the financial aspect. Well, that would be my advice to every new CEO which is appointed by the board. Or I would go even further and say, I think that in the nomination, during the nomination period, so the work with nominating, find the right CEO of the company, it's important to make sure that you understand why do you want that CEO to come for? What's the mission of that CEO? Is the mission a transformational one? Is the mission of something which you just want, to keep in the same way, but evolving, let's say, step by step? I think that's very important, because depending on what you want, what's the mission of the new person, which you as a board bring on board in the company, depending on that, you will take also the decision if it's somebody coming with a deep understanding and knowledge of the business, or is it something else which you are looking after. But I think it starts with what's the mission of the person. Well, I think I can see it on different levels, and it's not only the CEO, it goes to levels below. It has to do sometimes with another leadership topic I was reflecting about, the fact that we are very often more fast in bringing on board people from outside, thinking that people from outside somehow are better than the people from inside. And I mean, there are good reasons to bring an outside view. It's always very, very interesting. But what I want to say is that what I notice during my long years in management, that we are very strict and very severe when we are looking at our internal candidates, because we know all their strengths and all their weaknesses. And we cannot be equal stringent. We can't simply when we bring somebody from outside, because it's based on a CV, which is most of the time very nice. Then it's based on a very limited number of interviews. You can do, I don't know, 2, 3, 5, but then you will not do more. And that compared to somebody who was 10 years in your company and was exposed to difficult things, to easy things, to good things, to bad things. So I see that bringing people, having that desire of all the time bringing more and more people from outside, that is where a gap between leadership and the technological reality of your business can occur, because you very often bring people from outside your environment. Again, it's very good because it's an outside view. It's something which is refreshing. It's something which brings new ideas. But I think it has to be the right balance, because the deep understanding of the technology, the deep understanding of the culture of the company, that cannot be done over one day or not even 1 year. So you need a couple of years to really understand the depths, the complexity of the topics, so that you take the right decision. An example from my career, so when the understanding of the technology helped me, I would say almost in all the transformational work I had to do. It's not only one example, are several examples. Before jumping in giving a new strategic direction to a business, really finding a new way of increasing your competitiveness or remain relevant in the industry, that requires that you have a very deep understanding. So that was always my philosophy. So I don't recall having jumped in a transformational work without having understood what's going on. So it's not enough to know the direction of the transformation. You need also to understand the implications on a lower level, including the implications on your team, because transformation sometimes requires new capabilities, so it requires a new set of people, and you have to understand what are the implications for everybody, for all the stakeholders. So yeah, it's in the transformational work, in my opinion, the deep understanding of the technology and the business, because we talk technology, but actually it's the business models, which are also extremely important. That's for me a paramount. For technology companies, I think it's important to have somebody in the board who has a good understanding of the market requirements, of your customers, of the environment, of the technological environment. It doesn't need to be, in depth, but it has to be so solid that you can easily identify the blind spots. And you can acquire that competence, by having very good advisors. But I think the important thing is to identify that in the board there is a blind spot. So, okay, how we deal with that. And it's important to understand that it's important to have a deep knowledge about the business environment, the customer environment, the competitive landscape, so that you can take the right decision.